What time is it?
Okay, we have some fabulous live music later on, but right now, here's the kind I prefer.
Man, I love West Coast styles. West Coast, baby.
Yeah. So before we get into the album, actually, I want to ask you a question and also send a shout out to Harry O. Today's his birthday.
Birthday H. That's my man.
What was your connection to him and how has he played a role in your life and career?
I met Mr. Harris in the late 80s. He was already incarcerated, and he reached out to me and asked to manage me. He wanted to represent me. So I went to prison and met with him. And when I went in there to meet him, Freddie the Man, who was running Maverick Records at the time, was leaving when I was coming in. I'm like, this dude, it's cracking. You got $40 million guys coming to see you in jail.
Yeah.
So manager, and this is before Death Row Records. So I was with Ruthless at the time. And he had a company called Godfather Entertainment, but it was a label. I can't remember the name of the label. But since he was incarcerated, he had another gentleman actually run the day-to-day. But it was more of a, not only was he representing me in that sense, but in the 80s, and as you can see with what happened to rest in peace, the young rapper PNB, it's not a really safe environment for hip hop in LA. You gotta know how to move, and you need certain people protecting you for you to be able to move in all of the hoods. Like if you're doing hip hop and gangster rap, you around, they talk about, okay, so look, people say, oh, they not gangsters, they not this, but you go and work with these cats, or you go to the hood where they live and go record this song. Your gear might be gone from the car when you come out. Like, you know, it ain't what you think it is. It ain't sweet in LA. It's rough. But yeah, Harry O was one of my managers. He managed me and he was a great mentor at the time. Yes. He's still a mentor to this day.
Have you had a chance to reconnect with him since he was pardoned and released?
You mean other than Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen him a few times since he's been released. He was pardoned. That's amazing, right? I bet you nobody knows what he was in jail for, though.
I can't say for sure, so I don't want to speculate.
Yeah. That's what usually people do. They speculate because of what he was known for maybe doing as a living, but that ain't why he was incarcerated. So
you want to speak on that or not? Like,
amazing that he has been released and on his own freedom. If he could, you know, but just because of the things that allegedly or did not happen, it's legend on the street. But yeah, so that was during the time. So Harry O was my manager, and then also when I became part of Death Row Records, he was still representing me and but it was more of a secret thing. People didn't know. So guys like Suge didn't know that his boss was my manager. That's why I was untouchable. That's how I moves.
So was it Dre that got you to Death Row, or was it Harry?
Okay, so the way Death Row was created, one day Dr. Dre picked me up in a car. He had DOC in the car with him. And we go to Sony Music, and they go inside, they come out, got $1 million check. They got a publishing deal, Dre do the music, DOC does the words. They got $1 million, they go to start a record label. It was gonna be called Future Shock or Future Sound or something Future, but then since we were signed to Ruthless, all of us are signed to Ruthless together. Me, Dre, DOC, we all got contracts with Ruthless Records. And we want to leave. So Suge Knight, DOC's bodyguard, he says, I could, don't worry, I handle that. I'm a street dude, I can handle the street shit. And so he did, and we left. Little did we know, you go out of the frying pan into the fire. But because, I was in the room when they created Death Row, the record label that became Death Row. And then from there, I was the first producer signed to the label because before we really got going, we done spent this $1 million. So we needed some money to literally pay for the phone and the rent. Stereo. he got $300,000 to cover everything. Boom. So everything's running. And ever since he put in and got involved, Death Row just shines. Problem is, there was some business, I guess, that didn't go right. I don't know that part. All I know is what my part was. So, but yeah, he didn't, I was already, I kind of helped make up Death Row. It wasn't me, but I was in the room with Dre. Oh, you gonna start a label? Okay, cool. This is what we need to do. We want to do this kind of music. You know how, if you was gonna start a record company, the dude you was with every day would be helping you.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he got paid or not, that's your boy.
For sure.
I'm still his boy. I don't give a fuck about the money. I mean, not really. What's the point? Happy
So,
birthday, Mario.
jumping into the album, how long did it take you to create it? Rightfully so, and for the better. You've said that deadlines and time constraints are foreign language to you because you prefer turning in a quality product as opposed to meeting some arbitrary due date.
When you're creating hip hop and artistry, you don't have a deadline. They try to give you these constraints, but it don't work. But now in television and film, the art has already been done. So all you got to do is fill in the blanks for their project. So you better be on time. You can't, so deadlines don't exist in the music industry. Deadlines are all that exists in television. See what I mean? I'm two people. But I'm like, what am I working on? A record? Ah, fuck that shit. Take your time. What am I working on? TV show? Hurry up. You know, but no, it took me, okay, so check this out. I'm 60 years old, right? So about 59 years old, I decide I'm working with my boy, Tony Hasboon. He's my benefactor, helped do some projects with him, and he's helping within all of my projects. He gets paid on everything. He and I have always been like involved with projects. People make money, but we always need to wait on a rapper or get an artist or do this. And we just said, you know, bump it, bro. We gonna produce ourselves. And had some writers, and so I'm bilingual of sorts, and he's Dominican, so I started working with his legendary group called Lo Correcto from the Dominican Republic. They're like Wu-Tang of the DR. So Big Cool started writing lyrics for me, and Basico, they started writing lyrics. So I had a song called, I have two songs, one to be released called Kel OK, and one Sigame. I started working on that in like the end of last, like 2021, September, August, you know, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time I actually laid my voice and liked it. And I was like, hey. So then I did another song. I was sitting down listening to some lyrics, and I was waiting on some lyrics. And I was like, man, and I just wrote a verse. I just started off with some stuff that I liked from other people's songs, like, hey, you want to be ballers, shot callers, boom, boom, remember when Puff said that shit?
Yeah.
Like, so you want to be ballers. Okay, that's dope.
Mm-hmm.
Tours with the #1 artist. Okay, I'm on the flow. And then that was the first verse I ever wrote. It was the verse on No Confio. So I wrote that. And then I couldn't stop writing, bro. Because it was like I had to write what was inside of me about me. Like, it just comes out. So that's why the kids seem to like it, because it's real. Because all I talk about is smoking sweets, baby mamas, you know, what I do, regular stuff. Like Larry June. Larry June talk about water, you know, some vegan food, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We rap about what we do, man. It's not about what we supposed to be or what we pretend to be. You already know I'm Chris the Glove. So now I'm gonna just tell you what I did today, or what I'm thinking, or how my mind works, or here's some keys to mixing your record, mix bus, GML. So I put bars in my verses to assist producers.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And I noticed you rapped in Spanish a little bit on the album too. That was really dope.
These too. I figure if you got languages, you may as well use them. I don't understand why rappers only rap in what they know. I found out I could do this. I started talking and all kind of stuff. And then I like to rhyme in multiple languages. So I'll say something in Spanish, rhyme it with English.
Oh yeah, that opens the floodgates for so many possibilities.
And I just do it for the creativity, not for the possibilities. That's the funny part. Like, when you do it for the possibilities, it's contrived. When you just do it, then it's like, cool, you know, oh, are you Dominican or blah, 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 you know? But so I would honestly say I started working on this vocally in 2000 and 21. But I started, the oldest track on there is from, I got a track on this album that I did in 1997. 2017, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22. 25 years I've been working on this album. And I'm only gonna do one album. This is what I have. This is a living album. I'm gonna add songs probably equivalent to 2 or 3 albums. But if you purchase this, I'm gonna put new songs in there. You notice how you have access.
Yeah.
Send you an email when it's a new song. You don't have to buy new. But now the point is this, so you bought early. You got it when it was 35 bucks. It's gonna be $1,000 when it's done.
Mm-hmm.
See, you ain't gonna have to pay any more money because you bought in early. So people are gonna continue to buy the record, but the people who bought it early, it's gonna continue to grow. You'll end up with like, you got 14 songs, it'll probably be 30 songs, maybe 40. Because Dre did only 2 albums in his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, The Chronic and The Chronic 2. That's 28 songs, and he's a legend.
Uh-huh.
So I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna put them on one album. I'm only gonna do one album, Red Shirt Freshman. There'll be soundtracks and other stuff, but Chris Glove only putting out one album.
Speaking of that specifically, how did you come up with the title? I love the irony of it.
So that's another thing. So my brother, Randy, he's a basketball player, right? He played all over. He played for the Army, all this stuff, right? He was Mr. Basketball in Tennessee. So when he was in college, in high school, I was already doing music and I was trying to make sure he, did his thing. You know how you want your little brother to whatever. So he played at Beverly Hills High School basketball, and he got picked up for Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, but they wanted him to be a redshirt freshman. That means they didn't have a scholarship for him, but if he stayed on the team and practiced with the team for this year, he would still have 4 years of eligibility and they would have a scholarship next year. So what a redshirt is someone who's normally an older freshman. You get it?
Mm-hmm.
So the other day I saw this freshman, 49 years old, just played in a football game. He's a redshirt because you got to learn the system. So they're not gonna put redshirt freshman unless he's like a blue chip recruit. Then they put that. So I'm a blue chip recruit. All the dudes I came up with are superstars: Dre, Snoop, even Exhibit, even Warren G.
Oh,
These
yeah.
got stars. This is my crew. These are my dudes. Nate Dogg, RBX. He's a great artist and he never went to his stardom, but he could have. I don't know. Whatever the disconnect happened, it happens in artistry to the financial part. But, so I'm on that team, but I'm a freshman. They already graduated and got honors. And I worked with them too, but like as a statistician or as a producer, I wasn't, if they on stage, I'm on the side running all the music, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't up there with the mic saying my words. It's my turn now. I'm gonna have fun too.
What made you choose Cahuenga Boulevard as a single?
Cahuenga Boulevard is probably second to the last song that I did on the album. So the thing is, the sample that I used for that, I do this grounding and earthing, and when I meditate, I'll listen to some old music sometimes. When I do the water part of the meditation, and I was hearing this Rick James over and over in my head. I love that song because it's called Hollywood. So I was like, I always wanted to do something about it. And I didn't want to speed it up or change the tempo. I wanted it to be what it was. And then I started thinking about, I made a beat, right? I made the beat. And then I think I wrote the lyrics to the music. Because I remember I started writing the first few bars to the intro part that plays on the album because I hadn't made the part that I rapped to. So then I went on with it and I was like, yo, Cahuenga Boulevard, I wanted to give an homage to the song Hollywood. So it's like a double lick, like up in Hollywood. Hollywood is the sample for all these geniuses that are gonna say, oh, you got that? I've already heard it. You using 3 6 Mafia. I didn't even know they sampled it. Oh, people, they like to figure out what sample you got. They sample police. So I took Hollywood in the record. So go look and say, that's Hollywood by Rick James. Nigga, you heard him say it. He said it 5 times in the record. What you think that mean? He just accidentally said Hollywood. So I was like, and I got to thinking about, I didn't want to say, so this is what I don't want to do. I'm not going to glorify these names. I'm not going to be saying Death Row and the Hook, you know, over and over. No, it's not. And so I started thinking about what we did and how we did it. And Cahuenga Boulevard up in Hollywood, that's where we were. So it was like, that's where we did it. I mean, we did G-Thing, we did Gin and Juice, we did, there was 2 albums too. It wasn't just Dre's album. We did Who Am I? You know, I worked on that with Dre. What's my name? You know, Snoop Dogg. You know, I'm the vocals on. I do that. So a lot of people don't know that. I've been in people's ears all their life. And
Did
they
you
just
work
don't.
on the DOC's No One Can Do It Better?
I did not. When I met DLC, he had already lost his voice.
Oh.
So 9 is when I met them. But he had just, matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think, no, I met him after the accident. I'm pretty sure it was after. But I feel like I didn't know him really, but I knew I was with Ruthless when the accident happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I got closer with them. I just knew Drake kept me to the side working. You know, I was a secret weapon. They was like, how are you doing so much shit so fast? Going, you ain't even here. He had me, I was Spock over there handling it, holding it down. That dude's a genius, man. Don't let nobody tell you that Dre don't do nothing. Dre don't do beats. Dre don't do that. Just because some of the hottest ones, he had some collaborative help like me, you know, he could spot it. When I do a hot beat, he was like, I want that one. He did that with Phone Tap, Hello, Explosive, Stranded on Death Row, Who Am I? Well, no, Who Am I? We did that together. And Doggy Dog World, we did together. Like he did a beat, I played the keyboards like at the same time. But I was making up my part. And he was like, I like that. He wasn't saying, play this G major 7, accompanied with a, you know, A minor, and then turn it around into a F major 3, you know, diminished. That's when you wrote it. I was thinking that when I was playing it.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I think it's kind of cool, like with the structure, like G thing, you know, it's like they say nothing but a G thing, baby, but that's, the hook isn't really that. They only say that one time.
Well, the way that I think, and I'm assuming Drake, because we do them, but the way that I think, I always want to get a hook and a chorus are 2 different things. And so people always go, the chorus and the hook, they think it's the same thing. And so we always set out to prove it. Like the chorus to that is, it's like this and like that and like this, and it's like that and like this and like that, and it's like this. So who gives a F about those? So just chill with the next episode. So they want to call it the next episode, right? They kept saying that at the end of the part. And it was like, nah, that one ain't nothing but, everybody sang that part when it came on. Ain't nothing but a G thing, baby. 2 loped out niggas, so we crazy. Death Row is the label that pays, man. Yeah, man, that's the hook. It happens once. So that's what we started doing, like once. It got to be a part that grabs you and you want to keep reminded and going back. That's part of the, it's like part of the college that we go to. Like he does things, I do things. There's a few other people that think like us, but you know, I got a record on mine called, let me see. I got Mr. Turn the Bass Up. I say that one time in the whole song. You know what I mean? But it's the most significant thing. So, and then I got, but then I have Talk to Me Nice, where I say it a whole bunch of times. See what I mean? So it's in the build song. You have to, it's got to be that thing. Like That New is a single. Taste Love is a single. Cahuenga Boulevard is a single. But those other songs that you know, like We Said or No Confio, those are also singles. They're records. Man, I tell you, I play a song and I see a whole nother group of people start dancing from the other group. Like they stop, they start. It's still me. Like, how did that happen? I thought I was just grooving them. You know? Yeah, the singular hook. It's like an opposite of, you ever heard Thong Song?
Oh, yeah.
So thong song is the one verse method. They said the same verse 3 times, and then they just stacked the vocal and changed, made you think it was different. But it was, every verse was, ooh, that girl so fabulous, blah, 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 blah. So it's the same with Diamond in the Back, Sunroof Top, Digging in the Scene with a Gangster Lean. They said that shit 3 times. The whole part is a hook. They repeated it. So you can't make, what do you say? You may not have a great big Cadillac, gangster white walls, TV antenna in the back. Those are the words to the song. Ain't no more words. I have a car and all that. And then the second time he sing it, it go, diamond in the back, sunroof top. They added a part. So that's another method of writing. People that don't study music, they don't understand the trickery. So they miss out on their creativity. They should take a class or 2 and learn about foreshadowing or different types of music theory, or, you know, how to change the mood of a song with the chord instead of a word, or vice versa. But I use that for television. So that's where, that's why I succeed there.
Going back to Cahuenga Boulevard, you mentioned that you were the first to leave death row. Can you please elaborate on that? And why did you leave first and why did others stay?
That is a book, but I'm gonna tell you this part. So we were at Death Row Records, and at this point we were on tour, and we were in Hawaii during the first Chronic tour. We ate performing someplace like 10,000 arena or some shit. And Dre suggested remove some songs from the set, it's Hawaii. And so unbeknownst to us, while Dre and I are talking about the set, people are booing. We got a DJ that plays music in between, or to build up the people, to get them hyped. And he's, DJs in LA like to play new music. And so we in Hawaii, like the music that is a year old in LA is new in Hawaii. It's that far behind. So he was playing music of people they never heard, stuff that's hot now. Like imagine you go somewhere and play like Travis Scott and Kanye and these dudes, and nobody ever heard of them. And they like Run DMC and blah, blah, blah. You be getting pies thrown at you.
Yeah.
So they were upset, right? So after the concert, there was a threat. They were having a birthday party for Jewel, rest in peace. So Jewel, they had a cake. So my boy, who was the DJ, I ran into him in the bathroom, and I was about to leave. I ran to the bathroom to wash my hands and take off from the arena. He's in there washing cake and off of him, and he's laughing. I'm like, what happened to you? He said, oh man, they threw the cake on me. I said, they what? Okay, so now let me just pause. Death Row Records, remember this, okay? This is Death Row. So he goes, they threw the cake on me. I said, bro. And then one of the guys, Heron, he came walking in the bathroom. He said, man, Glove, you should get your boy out of here because they finna come in here and fuck him up for fucking up the show. And I was like, what you mean fucking up the show? You heard him booing and all that. They feel like that's his fault. I was like, what? Oh. So it was a fucked up show. Dre asked me to cut off Jewel's part. So when I stopped the music, I told him, Dre, if I stop it, I can't bring it back. So you want me to stop it for sure? Yeah. You sure? Yeah, I'm positive. I asked him 3 or 4 times. So when we do the show, he pointed at me, I stop it. Then she come out and start singing. And he's like, can you bring it back? He sings a cappella. And so this all led up to this thing. So he gets the cake thrown on him. Heron is telling us, you need to go. We shake up out of there. We go back to the hotel and get on the plane and leave Hawaii at like midnight. I get to LA and I get a call from Suge Knight. And he's like, hey, I need you to come up to the studio. It's like 10 at night. I need you to come to the studio. Anytime Suge leave, when I need you to come to the studio, it's a lie because I don't work with Suge. I only work with Dre. You don't need me to come up. I said, call Daz, bro. That's who you, call Daz. So then Daz called me. Man, I need you to, he left a message and Suge like, Daz needs you to play some keys. I'm like, nah, I'm not coming up there because I don't fuck with Daz like that. He do his beats. I work with Dre. I'm not everybody's Superman. I'm in the Super Friends. I tell and teach, but I'm not gonna go in the studio with them. I don't know them. So remember I told you it's a dangerous place here. So there's some other things in that interaction. Another person called that used to be on BET. She called me up talking about, we need you to come. This is all these calls I'm getting the same day. We need you to come. So I know I'm not going up there. And as a matter of fact, never going back. So I just said, you know what? I'm just going to not go back. So the rest will be explained. But then, needless to say, I'm here. I left. It was no problem. And so when I left, it was about, we came back from Hawaii and I never went back. About a week later, you ever heard of the fallout at death row?
Yeah, I mean, again, I've heard various
So I'm gonna tell
angles and
Godfather.
Mhm.
When Godfather said, we're gonna do this. We're gonna kill everybody at the same time that I christen my kids. So I got an alibi and all of them are gonna die. I'm gonna be in the church. Go do it. Remember that?
Yep.
When the week later, I had a manager at this time. It wasn't Harry O anymore. I was using somebody that was active because actually I still had Harry O, but I was in the midst of, I had somebody on the street. The guy I had on the street got murdered. So I started talking to my other dude, you know. And so he went to a party at the Century Club. You hear Dre rapping about the Century Club. So one night he was at the Century Club, and you know how you say, well, my team's strong, you know, blah, blah. They used to, Death Row used to be up at the Century Club. So my boy goes up in there. Now, I'm gonna tell you, this guy is 6'6", 250 pounds, and he's a Kempo karate instructor
Oh shit.
on Slauson. So he gets drunk too. So he's buying drinks. He'll get a little sloppy and spilly, but he's a real nice guy, but he's that guy too. So they were like, he went to buy some drinks, and these two cats with Death Row chains was like, you know, whenever you wearing Death Row back then, you was a banger. So they was like, yo, this Death Row, we buying the drinks or something. And he was like, nah, he bought the bar, he bought them drinks. They said something, and he said, fuck Death Row, and laughed, right? So they fight. Somebody tried, they sucker punch him, pop. He did like this. You ever seen that shit when you hit a nigga, pow? That dude popped back up, took off his suit, jacket, bing, 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 bing. He broke both of those dudes up, took their chains, sent them home. So the next day, he owned a car wash on Crenshaw on 54th Street too, this gentleman. So the next day he's up here on Crenshaw at his car wash, and Mr. Knight pulls in his Mercedes. He's like, yo, wash my car, and you know, y'all heard you said fuck Death Row, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, my boy proceeds to do to Suge what he did to them other two dudes. He beat him under his car. He wouldn't come out from under the car. Suge Knight was under the car and wouldn't come out.
Damn.
So, but he did say this. He said, I'm looking at a dead man. So then that night, my boy was dead. That next day, they had a meeting at Death Row, and a friend of mine, an artist there, Sam Sneed, and Tupac got into a verbal altercation. And so whatever else you heard happened right after that. So this is all of the things that happened after. Like I left a week before that, or two, probably a month, to be honest with you, because I came back from, they were still in Hawaii. They was telling stories how they was there for 2 weeks. Jet stuff after we left, we bailed. Like, hey, it ain't safe. You know, where we worked, it was cool. I didn't work at, it's funny because I took Dre to Can-Am and that was my spot. And then Suge and them leased it out for a year and they just ruined it. I never went back. I've never been back, ever. I couldn't even show my face there. Sure, they made some money, but that place is infamous for being the worst, most unsafe. You know, the only thing great about it is Tupac worked there all the time. But everything else was bad. Cats pissing in the corners because they drinking Henny, all kind of gangbangers. You know what I'm saying? They don't know how to, they want to break a window or take something. So, you know, not saying that's what happened, but, you know. So, yeah, I had to leave because it was an unsafe environment. And then after that, I see that Dr. Dre left as well.
And then did he reach back out to you when he was starting Aftermath and bring you back into the fold?
Yeah, I wasn't messing with it, man. He hit me a few times, and then my boy Mike Lynn and Ruben, that was in my group. They was like, come on, man. And they convinced me to go over there. And it was a good thing, man, because I went over there and my life changed. I turned into a grown-up, had a family, worked corporate production, which is the same, but you go to work from 2 to 2, that kind of thing. It ain't really structured. As long as you're creative, bro, you're good. As long as you can make heat, you do. If me, like, I mean, you could do songs like I don't know of a lot of the songs over there that I didn't do, like at Aftermath, when you get to naming off the hit songs, my name is attached to them. Except for like the next episode, I didn't have nothing to do with that or none of that. But all the big ones they keep talking about are the stuff I didn't work on all them songs that Dre did, but the stuff
Your group, Poor Broken Lonely, I mean, they were obviously more R&B oriented. Do you have a preference personally to working on rap records versus R&B records?
I used to have a preference because I like the singer more than the rapper, but rappers have developed so much. And it turned out to be the same thing. When you like a rapper, you generally like his voice or her voice. Like you like Luther because of his voice. Then you like the songs that he sings or the way he says the words. That's the flow. So I started to they're both equal. I used to prefer one or the other, but my music is interchangeable. So it's, to me, all that's the same. R&B and rap is hip hop. It's all one. But, so my preference at the time, I wanted to be a singer because the budgets were bigger. You can get $350,000 with an R&B group or $150,000 with a rap group. No matter how dope the rap group was, you was getting less money. I still don't.
Yeah. Jumping back to your album, on the record Like That, you say, Kanye, you're welcome, or you're saying you're welcome for Explosive, correct? Because I know he's shouted that record out on a couple of occasions as being a major influence on him.
Yeah, I say, Kanye, you're welcome. Andre, tell him. So, yeah, like Andre, tell him I worked on Explosive with you. I did the whole song and you got some guys to rap on it. And it's cool, bro. I mean, we did it together. But, let cats know what's happening so Kanye can thank me.
Yeah.
Like Eminem did. He thanked me. Like, well, there's the holdout.
Yeah.
So it's cool though. I had kind of stopped talking about that stuff. I'm only going to mention on my record or on these interviews in reference to the record because I am, like Kanye, you're welcome, bro. I'm glad you took the drums that I did the whole song Explosive, the whole musical track, the bass, the keys, all that. I laid all that down. And, I didn't play the bass because I was like, Dre, we're going to do this. We're going to redo this Bumpy's Lamet. So let's get Colin to come play this bass line. So I got Colin in. He wasn't even part of the shit no more. I wanted the whole team. I was trying to put the band together back then. I got Colin and Dre and me in the room. King T is cracking, right? And so we did Hello and Explosive. I did both of those. I all the parts, except for maybe, I didn't do any of the vocals. But the musical stuff, that's how me and Dre work. He likes when I do music. It's complete. Now he can get in there and put the music, take parts out, maybe add some things, whatever he's going to do. But, it'd be nice for my daughter and everybody to know, I mean, okay, so we have in LA, we got the phone tap on every day. At least my name is on that. So that's cool. I knows that my record play every single day, every day of the week for her whole life. So, but I would like my daughters both to know more about me, and it'll happen. But yeah, I did say, Kanye, you're welcome. Andre, tell him, because of Explosive. And there's a lot of people out now. Look, I'm gonna tell everybody out there, every song that we do, we use sounds or things that may have been in existence before us, unless I bang on a table and record it. I've done that too. Or bang on a drum myself, done that too. But in some cases, we'll take things, but it's the creation of what it is greater than the thing. Like the drums. People are like trying to tell me something about a drum. I took them off a breakbeat. The breakbeat that I had heard, bro, I took this record, I took these drums and I chopped this shit in half and did it. I created the rhythm. It's half of the thing. And nobody was doing that, taking half a loop. half of a bar and bringing it back. You know what I'm saying? And then I reap drums on top because I like one kick, one snare, one hi-hat, and that's it. Now, people like to say whatever, but we do things for texture. So, you know, it's a whole process. And it's fun because, like I did this phone tap song. You know, people were like, oh, you use such and such and such and such. The first person that ever said anything about what was using that sample was 20 years later. They couldn't figure it out for 20 years, bro. I got stuff they still can't figure out. It's like hilarious. People will tell me, yo, that's so-and-so. Oh yeah, well, I got 17 other things in there that you don't. So that's great that you can hear that it's a raisin in there. You must like raisins, or you happen to have bought that one record that had that beat on it. You don't because you know things, you know because you're lucky.
Yeah. You touched on this a little bit before, but I'd love to if you discuss it more because I was very intrigued. What was the process like for you, you know, coming up with lyrics for the album? I know you said you kind of started with that verse for that other song and for that other group, and then how did that just kind of evolve?
Man, that's a good question. So I have multiple projects at the same time, and for my comic that I'm doing, it's a graphic novel about my life, but in an alternate reality. I had wrote these songs for it, like those songs I was telling you about there for that soundtrack. And you know, I have songs, like I have some songs with Dre that I'll have like one verse and then I just started, you know, so I got a couple of features with him, and they're not on this album yet, but they're gonna show up eventually once they get all cleared up and everything's good. But the writing was just, I'm gonna tell you what really kind of inspired me to really, without me knowing it, I was gone for COVID, and I came back in 2020 June. Dre flew me back here to work with him on just whatever George Floyd had happened, and he wanted to just get his off his chest. He wanted to rap. And so I started going to Dre's house every day. I was in the studio for like 2 weeks on my own. I would work from like I was scheduled from noon to midnight, but he called me up at around 8, come up to the house. So then at 8, his house and work till 5. So this is every day, you know, Sundays, all of it. So we were hammering out all these songs. I even get 4 recorded on them myself. And, you know, I watched him and how he wrote. And he's got, the way he writes his songs is dope. He sat there and he'll have like this trusted writer and then another person. Everyone in the room is hip hop. So everyone in the room is game to shout out a line or a word. They write down who says what word and what thing now. It's like totally different from when we was there. So I even saw an engineer get a bar. He said something and he was like, I like that. And then he spit it and it became part of the song. And I'm like, so when I saw his think tank version of writing, amazing, right? But I listened to what he was doing, and you know, Dre's, we live in the future. We don't live in this time. So like we make music for ourselves. People say, oh, you need to sell records. We don't need to sell records. Why? I can sell sweets. I sell this. I make music. I can't help it. So, you know, we make our music and we keep going forward, but we stay kind of ahead of the curve. Like, for instance, I'm a beta tester for SSL. Like, we get stuff before people even get it. They think they're in front, but they're in front from the back. You know what I mean? Oh, this car is hot. Yeah, we drove that 2 years ago. But you're in front. That's how come it's the future. People who think they're now, like my stuff is not happening now. It's happening in the future. It's happening, but not in the now, in the future. You see? So the whole point of the way he wrote, it inspired me to decide to just do his whole team thing, but by myself. I could be 5 people in my brain, you know what I mean? So just to see him sit up there writing hot shit himself, bars out of his own mouth, I heard him spit them, fix it, make it sound right. Other people kick in, I throw a word in, somebody, you know, we've always been fixers of rappers. Producers sit there and say this, or do it like this. Because we like to it's our song too. And we want you to be on it, you know what I mean? So Yeah, I believe, I'm gonna just say he inspired me to definitely want to be a writer and a vocalist, to be honest with you. He could get up there, man, and spit, and everybody should talk shit about Dre. He ain't no rapper, but that dude's voice, you know him when you hear him.
Yeah, he has a commanding flow.
And that's what I want to do. I
Yeah.
command.
And you do, your voice and your delivery reminds me just kind of in the same tone as like a rock hymn, just in the sense that you're soft spoken, but when you speak, it's heard. Like what you're saying is deep enough and dope enough where like you don't have to yell.
Man, that's what my boy K-Mac on the beat says. He's like, he
Yeah.
produced there with me. And he's like, bro, just be you and just tell them. All you gotta do is just talk. That's what Jay-Z does. He talks.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really rap. He tell them dope shit. He keeps saying dope things. That's where the bar term came from. Lines that don't mean shit. You know, they're not cohesive unless you know the underlying thing.
You know, I've listened to the album a few times through, but kind of just as a fan, but also prepping for the interview. But I know it'll take multiple listens to catch a lot of different things. So I'm excited to continue listening to it.
Appreciate that, man. It's really, I'm just amazed that the acceptance I'm getting, because they're like, why you never rap before? And I'm like, I wasn't a rapper.
Yeah. With hip hop turning 50 next year. And I think hip hop has reached a new generation, or it's been around long enough where we'll start to have artists in hip hop like we have artists in rock, like the Rolling Stones, who've been around, forever. And stuff like that. It's like hip hop is finally reaching that point where it's able to have artists like that, and you're one of them. And so for you to kind of break that barrier and be like, no, I'm gonna be a real OG and somebody that's been putting it down for 40 years, like, no, that's awesome that at age 60 you dropped a rap album. That's
But I produced. That's the cool part. I produced it, rapped it. I did all of the whole rope, 90% of it. Not barring samples and whatever, but other than that, yeah. And a lot of times, like, we flip stuff, man. That's a art of art. Like,
what inspired you to sample the Mac for the intro?
That was K-Mac on the beat. That boy, he came up and was like, here. He sent me a couple of tracks. We watched the Mac all the time. So I actually started to write a TV series around these songs. So,
oh, really?
That's called Pimp Chronicles. So, but it's about pimping, but not human trafficking. It's similar to Black Mirror. We are financial consultants, money launderers.
Mm-hmm.
So we do it through crypto and the blockchain. So it's really a trippy thing. But we use women, but they're NFTs. So like, have you ever done the goggles or anything?
I haven't.
So once you put on a pair of those goggles, you're gonna understand what I'm talking about. It's like you will start believing that your eyeballs are goggles, like, cause you go to another place. So if I take my eyeballs out, I'll probably be somewhere else type. This is really deep. But anyway, it's a whole cool little vibe. But he sampled the Mac and was like, and it was right before Goldie died.
Oh.
Like, I released my record.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He died in January, didn't he?
Yeah, and I put my record on New Year's Eve. The Pimp Chronicles, those two songs are from Pimp Chronicles, my intro. But yeah, that's just kind of like our lifestyle, not being pimps, but the way they think.
Did you ever see Dave Chappelle's stand-up special where he kind of, at the end, he broke down the whole kind of pimp game from the Iceberg Slim book?
No, I didn't, but tell me about it.
I'm not going to do it justice. I'll see if I can find it. I'll send you a link. It's dope, but it speaks to exactly what you're talking about as far as playing chess, not checkers, and just like your mind working differently than most people's and being able to be ahead of the curve because of it.
Yeah, man. And there's so many people playing chess, you got to play different kind of chess.
Mm-hmm.
I like to call it Chinese chess. Like in chess, you need to play like 3 moves ahead to win. Think 3 moves ahead. But Chinese chess, you have to think 7 moves. And 7 moves ahead.
Have you always done that, or was there like a point where you realized your ability to do that, or have you just kind of always thought that way?
I thought everybody did it. Like
Mhm.
I would think about, so like people don't understand, like in the Bible, they say that God is the Alpha and Omega. He knows the beginning and he knows the end from the beginning. And they're all mystified by it, like, oh my God. But like when you go in the kitchen to make some spaghetti, you know that you're gonna make spaghetti, right?
Mhm.
So you can walk in that room with your arms crossed. You in your mind know you're gonna make spaghetti. And people will stand around you and look at you, and then you start making spaghetti and then you're eating. And they'll be amazed. I mean, bro, if you made the spaghetti, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you know the beginning. In the beginning, you should know your end. That's how you know you have God inside of you, bro. You make a plan. They call it a plan, business plan, 3-year plan, 5-year plan. You know what you want to be in 5 years. That's knowing the end from the beginning.
Mhm.
So, you know, they get all like that, but that's exactly. So in the beginning, when I was a kid, I used to think like that, like 5, 6, 7. I would say, okay, if this happens in this, but what if this and that and that? Okay, so I want this to happen. I got to do this over here. And then you just knock them down like dominoes. And then you watch. Everything falls exactly according to how you planned it. Because you can count on human nature to be what it is. You cannot count on common sense because that's not common. But human nature is everywhere.
What time is it? Okay, we have some fabulous live music later on, but right now, here's the kind I prefer.